The sharp crack of shattering glass cut through the heavy silence of the kitchen like a slap. "Clean it up, and don't expect dinner tonight," his father barked, eyes cold with the same disappointment that had lingered since Lucas came out 3 years ago. Lucas knelt down, picking up the shards with trembling fingers, the sting of a small cut barely registering compared to the weight in his chest. "This is what you get for choosing that lifestyle," his mother added from the living room, not even bothering to turn around. "We gave you a roof, food, everything, and you throw it back by being like this. At least make yourself useful around here." For Lucas, now 27, the days blurred into an endless cycle of laundry, cooking, cleaning, and silent endurance in their modest suburban home outside Chicago. His parents had made it clear: stay and serve or leave with nothing. His marketing degree gathered dust while he scrubbed toilets and bit his tongue. He dreamed of more, but fear kept him rooted. Every morning he woke to the same routine: coffee for dad, breakfast for mom, then the long list of chores that never ended. Friends had drifted away after the coming-out fight. The few who remained texted encouragement he never quite believed. "You deserve better, man," his old college buddy Mike would say. But better felt like a fairy tale when your own parents looked at you like a burden. That evening, after another tense dinner where he ate leftovers alone in the kitchen, Lucas retreated to his small room. The laptop screen glowed softly as he scrolled through job listings he knew he couldn't pursue. On impulse, he had submitted a portfolio to Vanguard Creative weeks ago, Archer Harrington's prestigious agency. The CEO was everywhere in business news: sharp, successful, openly gay himself, but Lucas never expected a reply. It was just a quiet act of defiance against the life he was trapped in. Downstairs, his parents were already planning their next big move. "If we can land a meeting with Archer Harrington, our accounting firm could finally expand," his father said, voice rising with excitement. "The man's a legend in Chicago business. We impress him, we're set." His mother nodded, adjusting her pearls. "We'll host a dinner, show him we're a solid family. None of that other nonsense comes up." "Understood." Lucas overheard every word from the hallway, the familiar knot tightening in his stomach. They still spoke about him as if he were a stain they could hide. The next morning the phone rang while Lucas was folding laundry. His father answered on speaker, voice booming with forced charm. "Thompson residence. How can I help you?" A pause, then a smooth, confident tone filled the room. "This is Archer Harrington. I'm actually calling for Lucas Thompson. Is he available?" The silence that followed was deafening. His parents stared at the phone like it had grown legs. Lucas froze in the doorway, heart hammering. His father recovered first, voice tight. "Lucas? Yes, of course. One moment." He thrust the receiver at Lucas without a word, eyes wide with a mix of shock and calculation. Lucas took the phone, voice barely steady. "This is Lucas." Archer's laugh was warm, genuine. "Lucas, I've been going through submissions for our junior creative director position. Your portfolio stood out: fresh, honest work. I'd like to discuss bringing you in for an interview. Are you free this week?" The words hung in the air like a lifeline. Lucas glanced at his parents, their faces pale. For the first time in years, the power in the room had shifted, and he felt the first crack in the walls that had held him prisoner. Lucas's hands shook as he hung up the phone. Archer Harrington, CEO of Vanguard Creative, wanted to meet him. Not his parents. Not their struggling accounting firm. Him. The offer was simple. Come downtown for an interview, possibly start as junior creative director with a salary that made Lucas's head spin. His parents stood frozen, the usual commands dying on their lips. "Lucas," his mother finally said, voice thin, "you're not seriously considering this. We have responsibilities here." His father cut in, already calculating. "This could be our in. Tell him you'll bring us along. We'll host that dinner, impress him together." Lucas stared at them, the years of mopping floors and swallowing insults rising like bile. For once he didn't apologize. "I'm going," he said quietly. "Alone." The drive into Chicago the next day felt like crossing into another world. Skyscrapers replaced quiet suburbs, and Lucas's worn button-down suddenly felt inadequate. At Vanguard's sleek offices, the receptionist smiled like he belonged. Archer's assistant led him to a glass-walled conference room. When Archer walked in, tall, dark-haired, 36, with kind eyes and an easy confidence, Lucas's nerves settled unexpectedly. "Lucas, thanks for coming on short notice," Archer said, shaking his hand firmly. They talked portfolios, ideas, campaigns. Archer listened, really listened, asking questions that made Lucas feel seen for the first time in years. By the end of the hour, the offer was on the table. Full-time, benefits, a starting bonus big enough to cover first and last month's rent on a studio in the city. "You've got real talent," Archer added softly. "Don't let anyone convince you otherwise." Lucas accepted on the spot. Packing that night was surreal. His mother cried, real tears this time, while his father muttered about loyalty. "You owe us," he said. Lucas zipped the suitcase, voice steady. "I owe myself a chance." The Uber to his new apartment felt like freedom. Monday morning at Vanguard, Lucas met the team. Everyone was welcoming, and Archer personally introduced him around. Over the next days they worked side by side on a pitch. Archer's guidance was patient, his humor dry. One late evening, reviewing mock-ups, Archer glanced over. "You seem lighter already. Chicago treating you well?" Lucas smiled for the first time in months. "Better than I expected." Something unspoken passed between them, recognition, maybe the start of trust. But his parents weren't done. His mother called daily, voice sweet then sharp. "We're so proud, but don't forget where you came from. Archer Harrington could help your father's business if you just mention us." Lucas hung up each time, feeling the old guilt creep back. He threw himself into work instead, staying late, learning fast. Archer noticed. "You're thriving," he said one Friday, handing Lucas coffee. "Proud of you." The simple words warmed Lucas more than any paycheck. Weeks blurred into a rhythm Lucas had never known. Mornings meant creative briefs instead of mopping. Afternoons brought brainstorming sessions where his ideas were actually valued. Archer became a constant presence, mentoring, challenging, laughing at Lucas's dry jokes. Their conversations drifted from work to life. Archer shared stories of his own coming out years ago, the family who eventually came around. Lucas opened up about the servant years, the shame that still lingered in quiet moments. One rainy Thursday they grabbed takeout after a long day. Sitting in Archer's office overlooking the river, Archer asked gently, "Do you ever regret staying with them so long?" Lucas stared at his noodles. "Every day. But leaving felt impossible. They made me believe I didn't deserve better." Archer's hand rested briefly on his shoulder. "You do. More than you know." The touch was brief, professional, yet it lingered in Lucas's mind all night. At home, his new studio, he started unpacking the emotional baggage. Therapy sessions his insurance now covered helped him name the pain: internalized homophobia, conditional love. He joined a local LGBTQ support group, made friends who celebrated him instead of tolerating him. Mike flew in for a weekend, eyes wide at the transformation. "Dude, you're glowing." His parents' calls grew insistent. "We're having financial trouble," his father admitted one night. "If you could introduce us to Archer." Lucas felt the familiar pull but stood firm. "I can't mix personal and professional like that." The argument that followed left him drained. He confided in Archer the next day over lunch. Archer listened without judgment. "You're not their fix-it guy anymore. You're building your own life." Their eyes met longer than necessary, a quiet understanding blooming. Work brought its own challenges. A big client pitch loomed, and Lucas's concepts were central. Archer trusted him to lead sections. The night before the presentation, nerves hit. Archer stayed late, practicing with him. "You've got this," he said, voice soft. When Lucas nailed the rehearsal, Archer's proud smile felt like sunlight after years of clouds. Walking out together into the Chicago night, Archer asked, "Dinner tomorrow? Just us." Lucas's heart skipped. "I'd like that." The dinner was simple, Italian in a cozy Lincoln Park spot, but everything felt new. Archer talked about growing up in a small town, fighting for his place in boardrooms while staying true to himself. Lucas shared stories of high school crushes he never acted on, the fear that had defined him. Laughter came easy. When Archer walked him home, the goodbye lingered at the door. "I'm really glad you answered that call," Archer said quietly. Lucas smiled. "Me too." The next weeks deepened their connection. Walks along the lake, quiet coffees, shared playlists. No pressure, just genuine care. Lucas felt himself blooming, laughing more, standing taller. Work flourished. The client loved his campaign. Archer promoted him to creative lead on the next project. Then the storm hit. His parents showed up unannounced at his apartment on a Saturday, suitcases in hand. "We're staying a few days," his father announced. "Business in the city. Thought you could introduce us to Archer." Lucas's stomach dropped. He refused, but the guilt-tripping began. "After everything we did for you," his mother cried. Lucas caved enough to arrange a casual lunch, neutral ground. At the restaurant, Archer was polite but distant. His parents laid it on thick, pitching their firm. Archer listened, then said calmly, "I admire family support, but Lucas earned his place here on merit. I won't mix business with personal favors." The table went silent. On the way out, his father hissed at Lucas, "You're choosing him over us?" The words cut deep. That night Lucas spiraled, old doubts flooding back. Archer called, voice steady, "You're not responsible for their happiness. You're responsible for yours." They talked for hours. Lucas fell asleep feeling anchored for the first time. But the misunderstanding came next. A colleague overheard part of the family lunch and gossiped that Lucas got promoted because of a relationship with the CEO. Rumors spread. Lucas confronted Archer, hurt. "Did you know people think I slept my way up?" Archer's face fell. "I'll shut it down immediately. You earned every bit of this." The conversation cleared the air, but Lucas realized how fragile trust still felt. The rumors died quickly after Archer's firm email, but the damage lingered in Lucas's mind. He questioned every achievement. Archer gave him space yet stayed close, checking in, sharing lunches, never pushing. One evening at the lakefront, Lucas finally voiced it. "I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like I'll wake up back in that kitchen." Archer stopped walking, turned to face him. "I see you, Lucas, the real you. Not the version your parents created. You're brilliant, kind, resilient. And if you'll let me, I'd like to be part of the life you're building." The words hung in the crisp air. Lucas stepped closer. Their first kiss was soft, tentative, full of years of unspoken longing. No fireworks, just quiet certainty. Family pressure escalated. His mother left voicemails about health scares. His father sent emails about foreclosure. Lucas visited once, offering financial help from his salary but refusing to involve Archer. The visit ended in shouts. "You're selfish," his father yelled. Lucas drove back to Chicago in tears but didn't turn around. Archer met him at his apartment with takeout and no questions, just presence. They spent the weekend talking through boundaries, forgiveness, and what family could mean. Work brought a crisis. A major campaign deadline threatened by a team member's sudden departure. Lucas stepped up, leading late nights. Archer supported without micromanaging. On launch day, the client praised Lucas by name. The victory felt earned. That night Archer cooked for him simple pasta, and they talked futures. Lucas realized he had stopped waiting for permission to be happy. A final test came when his parents demanded he attend a family reunion. To show we're still a family, Lucas invited Archer. The dinner was tense. His father tried cornering Archer about business. Archer remained gracious but firm. Later, alone with Lucas, his mother whispered, "He seems good for you." It wasn't approval, but it was something. Lucas left early, choosing peace over performance. Months later, Lucas stood on the rooftop of Vanguard's building, city lights sparkling below. Archer had asked him to meet after hours. The campaign Lucas led had won a national award. Archer handed him the plaque, eyes shining. "You did this. All of it." They leaned on the railing, shoulders touching. Lucas thought about the boy who once mopped floors in silence. He was gone. In his place stood a man who knew his worth, loved openly, and built the life he once only dreamed of. His parents still called occasionally. The conversations were shorter, less demanding. Therapy helped Lucas set boundaries without guilt. He and Archer traveled on weekends. Michigan beaches, quiet cabins, growing closer with every shared sunrise. Lucas started mentoring young creatives at work, paying forward the chance Archer had given him. Friendship with Mike deepened. The support group became family of choice. One crisp autumn evening, Archer took Lucas back to the same Italian restaurant where their first date happened. Over dessert, he said simply, "I love you, Lucas. All of you." Lucas answered without hesitation, the words freeing something deep inside. "I love you too." They walked home hand in hand, Chicago alive around them. The journey hadn't erased the scars, but it had transformed them into strength. Lucas no longer served anyone's version of who he should be. He lived his own. True or false? One unexpected phone call can truly rewrite a person's entire sense of family, worth, and love.